Something big happening tomorrow night. A message like that from a former president is enough to put the entire world on high alert. So today, we're going to try to decode Donald Trump's cryptic post about Iran. Is this all just political noise, or is it a sign of something much, much more serious on the horizon? And it all started right here with this one simple post. It's direct, but at the same time, it's incredibly vague. But that wasn't all. He also mentioned a massive naval fleet heading towards Iran, and even an unparalleled peace council. So what in the world is actually going on?
And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are we just watching some masterfully crafted political drama unfold, for show? Or are we standing on the edge of a major military conflict? That's exactly what we're going to dig into.
Okay, so to even begin to unpack that question, we absolutely have to understand the context here. This message didn't happen in a vacuum. The timing is pretty much everything. You have to picture the situation as this giant geopolitical pressure cooker. Tensions between the US and Iran are already sky high. You've got massive protests happening all across Iran, and behind the scenes, there are reports that military options are seriously being considered. So when Trump, who's already talked about a decisive response, says something like this, well, people listen. And this is the point where things go from just words on social media to actual steel in the water. That reference he made to a huge fleet, yeah, that wasn't just talk. It lines up perfectly with some very real and very significant military movements. And we're talking about some serious hardware. The USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group has moved into the Arabian Sea. Now, to put that in perspective, that's an incredible amount of firepower. We're talking fighter jets, cruise missiles, the whole shebang, parked right on Iran's doorstep. This isn't just a signal, it's a very clear and powerful show of force. But it's not just about the big ships. The US is also making a point to flex its tech muscles, talking up its stealth aircraft and super accurate precision munitions. The underlying message here is crystal clear. If a fight does break out, the US is confident it has the overwhelming technological advantage. So this brings up a really important strategic question. If you're gearing up for a potential military strike, why on earth would you announce it to the world? Why make it all so public, instead of using the element of surprise? Well, it turns out there's a pretty clear logic behind it all. This whole public display is a classic example of something called coercive diplomacy, and it really has three main goals. First up, you have deterrence. The idea is to scare Iran into backing down without ever having to fire a single shot. Second, there's reassurance. This is a signal to key allies in the region, like Israel and the Gulf states, that the US has their back. And finally, and this one is so important, it's about avoiding escalation. A surprise attack could backfire, uniting the Iranian people and leading to some serious miscalculations. This way, everyone knows where they stand. And there's another layer here, something a bit more subtle going on. The thinking is that all this external pressure could actually weaken the Iranian government from the inside, which, in turn, could give a major boost to the protesters we mentioned earlier. It is a really high-stakes play. But at the same time, this isn't all just about military threats. We know for a fact that back-channel diplomatic talks have been happening too, so the strategy is really two-pronged. Show overwhelming strength, but always, always leave the door open just enough for a potential deal. It's a delicate balancing act. Okay, but what happens if that strategy fails? What if deterrence doesn't work? Well, the potential fallout is enormous. We're talking about ripple effects that could shake the entire globe. The stakes really could not be higher. And let's be clear, Iran has a whole playbook of ways it could retaliate. It could try to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for global oil. It could target U.S. bases or strike at U.S. allies. And maybe most dangerously, it could unleash its powerful network of proxy fighters across the region, essentially opening up multiple fronts of conflict all at once. And that's why this isn't just a regional issue. Think about it. The world is already stretched thin, dealing with the war in Ukraine and rising tensions over Taiwan. Throwing a massive conflict in the Middle East into that mix, it would create a true, multi-front global crisis that would strain resources to the absolute breaking point. And the danger doesn't stop there. Other global powers like Russia and China, who have ties to Iran, could easily get drawn in, escalating things even further. And for a key U.S. ally like Israel, the threat is immediate and existential. They could face a barrage of ballistic missiles and coordinated proxy attacks. This is a global flashpoint, plain and simple. So, after looking at the troop movements, the strategy, the immense risks involved, we're right back where we started, trying to answer that one big question. What is this, really?
At the end of the day, it really seems to boil down to two competing ideas. On one hand, this could all be incredibly calculated political theater, a show of strength meant to dominate headlines and apply pressure. Or it could be the real deal, a genuine final warning before military action begins.
As of right now, nothing has happened. No shots have been fired, but the situation is unbelievably tense. The U.S. forces are in position. The heated rhetoric from all sides is only getting louder, and you can bet the entire world is holding its breath, just watching and waiting to see what happens next.
So I'll leave you with this. What are we actually witnessing here? Is it a carefully managed show of strength? A final, desperate warning? Or are we watching the very first moves in a conflict that could be far, far larger than any of us can imagine? Right now, nobody knows for sure.